During the tail end of Japan's Heian period, two prominent clans fight one another in an ongoing struggle known as the Genpei War. The Minamoto or Genji clan seeks to overthrow the dominant Taira clan for control over the country. The Genji general, Minamoto no Yoshitomo, fights against the Taira's leader, Taira no Kiyomori. Between his wife Yura and his concubine Tokiwa Gozen, Yoshitomo fathers 9 children, the last of which is a daughter named Ushiwakamaru, which means young bull. Shortly after Ushiwakamaru's birth, Yoshitomo fights in the Heiji Rebellion, during which he is killed by Taira no Kiyomori along with his eldest sons. Taking mercy on the other children, Kiyomori adopts Ushiwakamaru while banishing her older brother, Yoritomo, to Izu province. Spared a brutal execution, Ushiwaka and her mother, Tokiwa Gozen, are relocated to the Hiei Mountains under the care of monks from Kurama Temple. There, Ushiwaka neither smiles nor cries. Her face is devoid of emotion. Over the next 10 years, she nurses a deep grudge against the Taira clan for killing her father. Through letters to her brother Yoritomo, the two share a desire to take revenge on Kiyomori. To that end, they must become warriors, and in that endeavor, Ushiwakamaru gives up her childhood name, going by Shana-O while training at the temple. She has no friends, but becomes fascinated when her mother tells her stories of a legendary onmyoji on the mountain named Kiichi Hougen. Describing herself as the blazing flame that pierces the heavens like a pillar of fire, Kiichi Hougen is the founder of Kyohachi-ryu, the oldest school of swordsmanship in Western Japan. She is also renowned for her knowledge of military tactics. Her treatises, the Rikuto, or 6 Secret Teachings, and Sanryaku, or 3 Strategies of Huang Shigong, are considered 2 of the greatest works on warfare ever written. Kiichi Hougen is a tengu, a species of elemental nature spirit. They thrive in the mountains of Japan, controlling both wind and fire. Her true name is Sojobo, the Buddhist high priest of Mount Kurama. As the Kurama Tengu, she is the leader of her kind, the most powerful Tengu in all of Japan. Numerous emperors have entrusted their national treasures to her for protection. She often takes the form of a woman, but in truth, her gender and body can change at will. Her appearance is also more human, as she rarely reveals her most majestic form. Kiichi Hougen is also one of history's greatest teachers, and so Ushiwaka barges into her temple, demanding to learn the ways of the sword. Ushiwakamaru stubbornly persists until she is made one of Kiichi Hougen's pupils. It is a reluctant agreement, because as a Tengu, Kiichi Hougen tries to have as little contact with humans as possible. Even so, Ushiwaka visits her home day after day, wanting to learn all she can teach. The Tengu puts up with this, not out of a desire to raise a warrior, but because their training sessions are the only times when Ushiwakamaru ever smiles. Even a Tengu knows that children should be out playing games, running around, falling down, getting piggyback rides, and laughing all the way. Ushiwaka, however, insists she was born and will die as a warrior. Thus, beyond her sword arts and tactics, Kiichi hopes to condition her pupil's broken psyche. Her greatest wish is for Ushiwakamaru to gain friends and allies. Before offering lessons, Kiichi has her daughter, Koju no Mae, play tag with Ushiwaka. Rather than enable a warrior, she wants to turn Ushiwaka into an ordinary child. For a time, this works, and Ushiwaka enjoys mischievously pranking the temple monks. At the height of her playfulness, it is said that she can even communicate with animals, not through speech, but through gut feelings. She laughs sincerely, but only for a brief period. Eventually, Kiichi Hougen's sentiment falls on deaf ears, and Ushiwaka channels her knowledge exclusively toward killing the Taira. Even the moments where she is taught to play are seen as training to that end. It is her duty, what her brother expects of her. She will join his army in Azuma province and fulfill her role as a child of the Genji. Kiichi Hougen refuses to take a side in this battle, only caring about Ushiwaka as an individual human. Despite her best efforts, she is unable to convince Ushiwaka from walking an empty path of sadness. As such, Kiichi Hougen prematurely asserts that Ushiwaka has learned all of her techniques, omitting the fact that she has yet to reveal her ultimate strategies, written of in the Rikuto and Sanryaku. Even after Ushiwaka learns of these scrolls, she is forbidden from reading them. After all, they are said to bestow godly power, making them far too powerful for a mere mortal. Doing so will condemn Ushiwaka to an inhuman life, where she will die alone as humanity's enemy. Even so, she feels this power is exactly what she needs in order to defeat the Taira. On her side, Koju no Mae agrees that the Taira clan's reign must end, and is tricked into stealing the Forbidden Scrolls from behind her mother's back. Enraged, Kiichi Hougen tries to kill her student, resulting in the two of them parting ways. While it is infuriating, what's done is done, and Ushiwaka escapes the mountain with sacred knowledge, never to see her mentor again in life. Just as feared, Ushiwaka goes out into the world with an incomplete understanding of human emotions. Beyond the strict scolding of her mentor, she never knew love, neither from her father nor her mother. The fun times she had at the Kurama Temple are discarded so that she can be a better samurai. From now on, she swears fealty to her lord, and that on its own is enough for her. The only love she holds is for Yoritomo. Her brother, who had been banished, nonetheless grew into a fine warrior. After taking over as the Genji clan's head, Yoritomo sends out a call to arms, requesting aid in his attempt to overthrow the Taira. Thus, Ushiwakamaru ventures to Kamakura to join her brother's army, changing her name once more to Minamoto no Yoshitsune. As she wished, she becomes one of the Taira clan's sworn enemies, slaying countless soldiers on the battlefield. Through arrows, fire, swords, and drowning, the Genji slaughter the Taira. Ushiwaka herself accomplishes feats that earn her the title of Japan's most famous military commander, rivaling that of Oda Nobunaga. She uses a sacred sword called Usumidori. It once belonged to her ancestor Minamoto no Raiko, who used it to behead a monstrous Tsuchigumo. Now, the blade beheads the Taira, something Ushiwaka worries will shame its legacy. Nevertheless, it is a vital tool in combat. From atop her steed, a white horse named Taiyuguro, she charges into battle with a cold-hearted ferocity. Such boldness helps her claim victory in the Battle of Ichi-no-Tani, during which she leads a small detachment of soldiers plummeting down the steep slope of Hiyodori-Goe on horseback. This surprise attack allows her to capture the enemy fortress. While she produces results as a genius tactician, Ushiwakamaru is persecuted by her fellow commanders. It is precisely because she lacks any fear that the others fear her. She is the type of person who fearlessly eats the flesh of snakes after draining their venom. Despite this intimidation, however, she does acquire a handful of trusted allies. Among them is Shizuka Gozen, a Shirabyoshi court dancer tasked by the emperor to successfully perform a rain dance. Between 100 Buddhist monks and 99 other dancers, it is Shizuka's dance that finally brings the necessary rain. She meets Ushiwakamaru when the emperor praises her talent, and afterward, she becomes Ushiwaka's mistress. Ushiwaka's own stepbrother, Yoshinari Ichijo, rallies along with Yoritomo's cry for help. He joins Ushiwaka in many battles. Issei Yoshimori, a bandit in the Issei province, joins the war effort after meeting Ushiwaka at an inn at Kozuke province. He is described as having the face of a wicked fox, but despite this, he proves to be one of the few people Ushiwaka can truly talk to, whether it be serious matters or jokes. Ushiwaka finds a benefactor in the form of Fujiwara no Hidehira, a wealthy lord that offers to provide her group with shelter on their travels. Of all her allies, there is none quite so famous as Musashibo Benkei, a warrior monk on a quest to claim 1,000 swords from wandering samurai. Upon gathering 999 of these swords, Benkei encounters Ushiwakamaru along the Gojo Bridge. Due to her small body, he assumes she will be an easy victim to steal his last blade. During their fight, Benkei swings his naginata with enough force that ordinary soldiers would have their bodies torn asunder. His roar is loud enough to force hungry wolves to flee in terror. Even so, Ushiwaka, being fleet of foot, bests the monk not once, but twice, earning his respect. Benkei goes on to be Ushiwaka's most valiant and loyal retainer, willing to fight by her side to the bitter end. The deciding conflict in the Genpei War is the naval battle of Dan no Ura in the year 1185. At the Shimonoseki Strait, Ushiwakamaru leads a fleet of Genji ships against the Taira. On one of the Taira ships is the child emperor Antoku, and Ushiwaka discovers which ship it is when one of the enemy generals defects to her side. The boat is showered in a hail of arrows, forcing Antoku and his grandmother to accept their defeat and drown themselves in the ocean. Noritsune, the Taira commander, also tries to commit suicide, and to claim the kill for herself, Ushiwakamaru leaps across 8 boats before beheading him. This remarkable feat goes down in history as Ushiwaka's Haso Tobi, or 8-boat leap at Dan no Ura. Claiming victory in this fight essentially ends the Genpei War in favor of the Minamoto clan. As thanks, Emperor Go Shirakawa bestows upon Ushiwaka several important titles. Yoritomo, in turn, becomes Japan's first shogun, establishing his bakufu in Kamakura. In the war's aftermath, Ushiwaka eagerly awaits her brother's next orders. She derives purpose from fighting for his sake, but in the end, Yoritomo misunderstands her selfless devotion. From his perspective, she is nothing but a soulless killer, an asset during the war that he fears he can no longer control. She is like a dog, loyal to a fault, but he nonetheless imagines how threatening she'd become if her fangs turned toward her allies. Ushiwaka has no such intentions, but instead of praise, terror drives Yoritomo to pay his sister back with betrayal. Before he can rule the land in peace, he feels he must first eliminate her. Unfamiliar with political matters, Ushiwaka doesn't see her brother's concerns ahead of time. Rather, it is her retainers who warn her of the danger, and she takes their advice to flee to the plains of Oshu. There, she takes shelter in the home of Fujiwara no Hidehira. Several of her retainers, such as Shizuka, don't complete the journey, and are spared a place in the bloody battle to come. While Hidehira protects Ushiwaka, his son is pressured into selling her out to her brother. Thus, Yoritomo gives chase, ordering Fujiwara no Yasuhira to raid the castle with an army of soldiers in the siege of Koromogawa. Here, Benkei fights off waves and waves of Genji soldiers, defending his lord to the end as arrows rain down upon him. To the enemy's astonishment, Benkei dies while standing tall in defiance. Soon, the castle is surrounded. Accepting her inevitable defeat, Ushiwakamaru is forced to commit seppuku by the very clan she fought for. Discarded as a killing machine by her own brother, her pleas amount to nothing. The Genji's savior meets her end, bearing tears of love that wish for the happiness of someone else. In these final moments, she feels a presence watching over her. Even in this solitude, she is not truly alone. Following her death, one of the survivors from Oshu is her retainer, Hitachibo Kaison. Unlike Benkei and the others, Kaison fled the scene and tries to make up for this shameful act by spreading Ushiwaka's tales. These stories, the wandering tales of Shana-o, are recorded in works like the Gikeiki and the Tale of the Heike. Such fame over the years easily earns her a place in the throne of heroes, and she pursues the Holy Grail, wishing to one day reunite with her older brother. As a heroic spirit, Ushiwakamaru is called to a singularity set in Babylonian times. King Gilgamesh of Uruk uses a holy grail to summon both Ushiwaka and Benkei to protect his city from demonic beasts. Her abilities in combat are based around the wandering tales of Shana-o, a noble phantasm that grants her 6 techniques based on her legend. There is the Eye of Shiva, a Tengu art that allows her to relocate her allies on the battlefield. Usumidori, Heavenly Blade Steps, combines both her sword and swift footwork to deliver a brilliant slash. Benkei, Steadfast Position, allows her to recreate Benkei's body as a shield. Usumidori's true power is Hoemaru, the Spider Slayer, which repels demons and deals out sonic attacks. With Kikenjo, Icicle Cutting, she can tear through flames with a spinning assault. Naturally, her Hasotobi is the most iconic of her feats. It manifests in the ability to swiftly traverse any terrain with only minimal foothold. Her blinding speed results in 7 clones of herself as she charges great distances with conviction. Alongside Benkei and other servants, Ushiwakamaru is able to hold the front lines. Her life is forever changed when she meets a mage named Ritsuka. In the modern era, mankind itself is threatened with incineration by the demon god Hivemind Gaetia. To prevent this, the Chaldea Security Organization sends its final master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, to various singularities across time. Thus, while Ushiwaka fights to protect Uruk, Ritsuka's ultimate goal is to save all of human history. Their respective goals align, and soon they become trusted allies. Ritsuka is thrilled to meet Ushiwaka in person, regaling the tales of Shana-o they grew up hearing about. It is delightful that she, a violent samurai, was nonetheless able to leave a positive impact on the world, with many people sympathizing with her tragic demise. Their fight grows perilous when the monstrous Gorgon approaches Uruk's walls. In order to buy her allies more time, Ushiwakamaru takes on the Gorgon by herself, unleashing Hasotobi in a last stand. While her effort is both brave and valiant, she fails to slay the monster, and is seemingly killed in retaliation. The Spartan king Leonidas also fights to the end, allowing Uruk and Ritsuka to survive to another day. Unlike Leonidas, however, Ushiwaka isn't actually killed. Rather, her battered body is taken captive by the enemy and corrupted by the chaos tide of Tiamat. Serving an even greater enemy, Ushiwakamaru is forced to fight against her former allies in a darkened state. Unable to break free from Tiamat's control, she is put out of her misery by none other than her retainer, Benkei. Despite this tragedy, Ushiwakamaru's efforts ultimately help Ritsuka resolve the singularity. When summoned as a proper servant of Chaldea, she takes Ritsuka as her new master, going on to help defeat Getia at Solomon's Grand Temple of Time. In life, Ushiwakamaru loyally served her brother to her own detriment, but as a servant, her loyalty to Ritsuka is never betrayed. On the contrary, at Ushiwaka's behest, Ritsuka rewards her with comforting head pats. Returning to the Heian period, there are legends of a samurai from the Kanbu Heishi known as Taira no Kagekiyo. In the aftermath of the Genpei War, it is said that this samurai seeks revenge on the Genji clan, especially Yoritomo. In pursuit of this vengeance, Kagekiyo is immortal, returning to life even when their head is severed. The basis for this legend is a palace guard named Akushichi Kagekiyo, written of in the tale of the Heike. But while this warrior may actually exist, the immortal samurai is an emanation representing those who hate the Genji. That lingering hatred takes form as a ghost or vengeful spirit, inhabiting those who share its resentment. Incarnating 37 times, Kagekiyo tries to take Yoritomo's life, failing in each and every attempt. On the verge of fading into obscurity, Kagekiyo bears witness to Ushiwakamaru's death at Oshu. While this woman had murdered hundreds of Taira soldiers, Kagekiyo now finds her to be a kindred spirit, for she too resents the Genji clan for betraying her. Forced to die by her own people, surely Ushiwakamaru's hatred runs just as deep as any of the men she killed. As such, the lingering spirit of the Taira accepts Ushiwaka as its vessel, and the two weep together as she passes on. Kagekiyo's legend is less concrete, never truly being associated with just a single person. That said, these legends spread through works like the kabuki play Kamahige, allowing Kagekiyo to exist as a component of the Throne of Heroes. When Chaldea fights against the alter ego servant Ashiadoman, the villainous fiend summons forth the Hashojin god generals, each inhabiting different heroic spirits who have been manipulated into establishing the Hell Realm Mandala. The Hashojin, known as Saikyo, manifests within the Saint Graph of Ushiwakamaru, who in turn serves as a vessel for Taira no Kagekiyo. Here, she fights against the Genji warriors of Heian-kyo, and her seething hatred gives her a tremendous advantage. Unlike Ushiwakamaru proper, Taira no Kagekiyo fights with two katana, swords collectively known as Azamaru. Azamaru is a pair of tachi passed down in the Taira family, and when invoked as a noble phantasm, the two blades become one. It also embodies the grudges and hatred of the Taira clan. Her other noble phantasm is all things must pass, to flourish is to fall, a cursed technique that unleashes Azamaru's stored hatred in a devastating attack. While it is most effective on Genji warriors, its wrath knows no bounds. Ritsuka, accompanied by Sakata Kintoki, plans to use Ushiwakamaru's legend against her. At the city's Kamogawa Bridge, Kintoki pretends to be Benkei, reenacting their famous bout. While this angers Kagekiyo, it brings out the side of Ushiwakamaru that takes pride in being a Genji warrior. She was betrayed in life, but she never regretted taking up the sword. This realization weakens Kagekiyo enough for Kintoki to win their duel. While it is a tragic encounter, Ushiwaka is able to vanish with a smile, encouraging Ritsuka to keep on fighting. Taira no Kagekiyo rears its head once more in Chaldea itself, when Kiichi Hougen manifests as a heroic spirit. With the world's destruction, even the Kurama Tengu meets her end, allowing her to appear in servant form. She claims to be visiting Chaldea to punish Ushiwaka for stealing her secret scrolls, but in truth, she's come to try once more at teaching her student to finally enjoy life. Reunited with her pupil, she draws out one of her most treasured possessions, the Mallet of Fortune. It is one of Japan's omnipotent wish granters, told of in the tale of Isun Boshi. It has the power to make its victims smaller or larger, and by tapping her pupil with the mallet, she repeatedly changes Ushiwakamaru's form. With each tap, Ushiwaka's spirit origin shifts, from her childhood state to herself as a warrior against the Taira. One strike too many accidentally manifests her hatred of the Genji clan, allowing Taira no Kagekiyo to inhabit her spirit origin once more. Continuing her ambitions, Kagekiyo seizes the Mallet of Fortune and wreaks havoc on Chaldea, creating a minute singularity. In it, Kamakura is transformed into a land of nightmares. To resolve the matter, Kiichi Hougen accompanies Ritsuka as they track down Kagekiyo. Her experience with Ushiwaka has left her bitter, unwilling to accept new students. Ritsuka, however, proves to be special. This one mage has been able to befriend Ushiwaka, creating a lasting bond that the living Ushiwaka never had. Only in the afterlife as a servant has Ushiwaka been able to forge the friendships her mentor had wished for. As a result, Kiichi accepts Ritsuka as another of her beloved students, even considering marriage to the Chaldean master. In battle, Kiichi Hougen fights with a long red spear and her Tengu fan. While the spear lets her control fire, her fan grants her control over the wind. In addition, the fan enables other abilities such as duplication, flight, and exorcism. Not only can she change her gender at will, she can even transform into a murder of crows. Her noble phantasm is the 6 secret teachings and the 3 strategies, Noble Demon King's Great Feather Fan, which unleashes storms strong enough to split mountains. The reason Kiichi Hougen admires Ritsuka is the same reason that Taira no Kagekiyo loathes them. As she sees it, Ritsuka has merely become a replacement for Yoritomo. Thus, killing Ritsuka is akin to slaying the Genji general she despises. Doing so might break Ushiwaka's soul, giving Kagekiyo full control over her body. To prevent this, Kiichi Hougen swallows her pride and reveals herself as a Tengu. This lets her take back control of the Mallet of Fortune. While Kagekiyo and Ushiwaka share a hatred for the Genji, there still remains a part of Ushiwaka that resists. Thus, when Kiichi Hougen strikes Kagekiyo with the mallet, it allows Ushiwakamaru to make her own wish. For the sake of her new friends, Ushiwaka drives Kagekiyo from her body, and together the group defeats the expelled ghost. This gives her the chance to clarify that, while Kagekiyo clings to her out of their shared hatred, Ushiwaka has never needed that hatred. It doesn't guide her future at Chaldea, as she's been able to move on from that past. Accepting this, Kagekiyo's ghost vanishes, and while Taira no Kagekiyo can be summoned as a proper heroic spirit, it will be for the sake of protecting humanity. Kiichi Hougen also pledges to fight for the human order, happily citing the opportunity to watch over Ushiwaka and her new student Ritsuka. She refuses to fail them like she failed Ushiwaka in life. After all this time, Kiichi Hougen's beloved pupil has finally made friends, wielding her sword for a better purpose. The chaotic reunion of these 3 tragic figures has resulted in a solid commitment to defend the future. Thanks for watching!
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of our anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or our YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like exclusive vids and early access.
As always,
celebrate your fandom!
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: Video Gamer 75, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Olympian Doll, Lord Omagoden, Freebrick, RNG or Shuffles 1498, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Link Pendrago, King Kobo, Observer Bellis, Flash Daniel, Eldon Yarbrough, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Zamas Autonomous, Matthew McAfee, Game King 352, Caitlin P., Vladimir Ovna, Succubus Sakura, Norm Ace, Jonathan Badua, The Taz 96, President Irina Vladimirovna Putina, Maxwell's Demon, Kengo X77, SF Giants fan Mike, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.